everyone, Gambital here, and today I wanted to go over some of the challenges in the archive, mostly over Tome 2. Tome 1 is very self-explanatory. We'll, however, briefly go over Dark Triumph. For anybody that's having trouble with this challenge, just use No One Escapes Death. You don't have to wait until the very end of the game and let the survivors do all the generators just to get this challenge. Try to not end the game too fast, though. If you can get it to where 2 survivors are alive, and there is 2 gens left, that is great, because basically what happens is if you've killed 2 survivors and there's 2 left and they have 2 generators, the hatch will spawn closed. Instead of finding the 3rd person and killing them immediately, what you can do is you can leave them on the ground and go around the map and find where the closed hatch is. And as soon as you find the closed hatch, what you do is then go back, assuming the 3rd survivor didn't get picked up and saved, you go over and you hook them and kill them. If they did get saved, you just go find them and down them and hook them anyways. But the point is, after you kill that survivor, you want to immediately go over to the hatch and close it. And once you close the hatch, the endgame collapse will begin, and then you can go find that last survivor, hook them, and during the endgame collapse. You don't have to always wait until all the generators are done for this to happen. But again, a great perk to help with this: No One Escapes Death. Every killer has access to it because it's in the general pool of killer perks. But now I will go over Tome 2. Now there is another challenge in Tome 1 that perhaps some people might struggle with. It's Hungry Jaws, but there's a similar challenge in Tome 2, so I'll get to that in a moment. Tome 2 doesn't have too many difficult challenges, but perhaps some people might not have an easy time getting some of them. Like, for instance, grabbing a survivor can be a little bit tricky to pull off. It's not the easiest thing to do, and there are a couple ways you can go about it. Most people will just play a stealth killer and try to go get a surprise grab on some people, but there's an easier way to do this, honestly, and that's just to play super friendly to the survivors and just gain their trust. Like, you can do this on any killer. All you gotta do, just kind of run up to a survivor, do some like head nodding and a bunch of nonsense, let them pallet smack you a couple times, make them think you're just friendly, and then as soon as they're just doing gens in front of your face, you just keep derping around, doing miss swings, doing head nods, doing 360s, you know, whatever to gain their trust. And then whenever they least expect it, you just walk up to them and grab them off the generator because they trust you. Now, what you do from that point is up to you. I personally wouldn't betray their trust and kill them, but hey, to each their own. But that's the easiest way to get a grab. If you want to get it in a more legitimate way, I would suggest playing somebody like Michael Myers, Wraith, or Ghostface, just trying to get around a corner towards a survivor's on a gen with your stealth ability. The only problem is that getting grabs right now on dedicated servers is a little bit buggy. It's not consistent. So sometimes, if you just want to cheese this challenge and you don't care about doing it legitimately, just act super friendly. It'll get you your grab. Hungry Jaws. Catch a survivor in a bear trap 4 times as a trapper. I highly suggest watching Artstrava. He's a very good trapper player. He's got a lot of great tips for new players and veterans alike on killer and even survivor, and has a lot of great insights. Now I'm going to go into some gameplay of how I got this achievement. Alright, so I just kind of want to go over the thought process behind the traps I place. I didn't have a live commentary for this one, I just wanted to focus on the gameplay and try my best to get this challenge done in one game. And I do quite well, actually. I get 10 survivors trapped this match. And here, the first trap I'm placing, I place kind of on the staircase. Notice how I conceal a part of it into the terrain. You'll want to try to do your best on any part of the map to hide your trap in any way, whether you're using a patch of grass, a awkward level on the terrain, or anything like that. Here I pick up a trap, and I go over to my ruin. And because of the terrain, I am actually able to conceal half of this trap based on the way that it's kind of laid out. And this will end up getting, I believe, like 2 people caught in that one. It's a very nasty trap. As far as the Killer Shack trap here, I place one on the side. I don't usually trap the Killer Shack window because most people who see Trapper will always expect it, and usually 1 or 2 survivors will constantly be disarming those traps. Here I pick up a trap and there's somebody running along. I go up to start a chase with them, but we end up getting our first survivor trapped right here. Our boy David went to the stairway, cut around a tight corner. We had a very low placement on that trap, and he ends up panicking. Now, most people fear the grass or anywhere that's kind of concealed, against the trapper, so this is where he doesn't expect a second trap in the structure. That is actually pretty easy to see if you're looking, but he was kind of panicked and ended up running into our second trap, so that works out very nicely for him. Here I can get away with hooking him in the basement because I am using agitation and iron grasp. For those who don't know, agitation makes you move faster while you're carrying a survivor on your shoulder, and iron grasp just makes it harder for survivors to wiggle out. So you can travel far distances while people are on your back. This is the only part of the video that I really sped up. It's just kind of a bunch of travel time and me not finding anybody. Now look at how nasty this trap is. It ends up actually floating a little bit above the ground, meaning that people can't see it. David runs into us. We know he has decisive strike because he recently got unhooked, and he kind of ran into us on purpose. I've had a lot of survivors do this to me recently. I kind of placed it a little bit further back into the grass. There's still enough space for me to actually walk up the stairs without stepping in my own trap, so that's nice. And I do kind of a similar thing with this trap, if I remember correctly. And I couldn't get that same clip I used to have on it. I should have turned a little more to the left to get it. Claudette ends up getting caught by the ruin trap. And unfortunately, Bill is there to protect her. But hey, we get a lot of pressure. I end up going around that rock for some reason and lose a lot of distance on the Bill. And instead of committing to a chase him, I go back to the ruin. Because I figured maybe that Claudette would just run back to it. She ends up, if she did run back to it, I don't know. Most of these survivors actually had iron will, so I couldn't cure them 90% of the time. I do reset that trap, however, mainly because A, it's a good spot to trap, and B, even if they know it's there, they still have to disable it before they can break my rule. Claudette's self-carrying, I kind of ignore her. David, unfortunately, had dead hard for that trap. And Steve ends up getting caught by our Hex Totem trap that we just reset. I probably should have went down and chased after him to protect it, but I instead commit to the chase against the David. And I do believe I actually catch him pretty quickly. We're getting a couple of stacks of Save the Best for Last, which is really nice. And Ruin should be going down. So I ended up trading Rooting for a second hook on a guy. And honestly, Ruin did a really good job. Like, it lasted for almost 4 minutes. That's just good enough. We got a lot of traps set up. Only one gen got done. We're just not finished healing. I'm going to go over and pick up this trap. As a trapper, you really do want to try to do your best to be efficient in where you travel. So always be looking for where your traps are, where you need to go. Here, I decided to trap in between these two trees. You'll always want to try to find high traffic choke points that offer some concealment. Those are like the really good traps for trapper. Some spots you want to avoid, like pallets. I don't like trapping pallets personally. Yeah, it blocks off the pallet, but anybody who is searching the area for traps will immediately check pallets for traps, and they'll know it's there and disable it. And half the time, you don't even catch survivors in the pallet traps. They'll just end up running around and take a hit instead of going down to a trap if they see it. Now, if they're injured, it doesn't matter, sure. Sometimes the traps at the pallets can screw you over if they have dead hard, too. So I prefer to set traps in other places. Another great benefit of having agitation and or iron grasp for trapper is that you can place survivors more reliably on the hooks you want to place. What I mean by that is you can place them on hooks that already have traps next to them, meaning you don't have to actually stop and waste time setting up traps after you hook the person. You can just immediately move on to other places. I decided to move this trap a little bit closer to the rock, the Killer Shack wall. Claudette ends up getting trapped by that trap we placed earlier, in between the tree and the rock, I believe. And Steve ends up helping her out. I don't see them run to the left or the right, so I know they're just chilling here. Claudette was behind the generator. I slapped Steve right there. Claudette did make the smart choice of running away sooner than later. And I believe she just drops the pallet here, yeah. So we just kick this, go after her. So we disabled that Killer Shack trap, which is okay. And we see David. And we decide, hey, David, you're on third hook. I kind of want you dead, so we're going to go chase you. Now, David and most survivors in general are paranoid about traps in the grass, like I said. So instead of going to one of these two pallets, he ends up avoiding both of them out of fear of the trap. And we end up getting a pretty good chase on him, and we chase him all the way over to the Killer Shack pallet. Now he gets greedy here, and it doesn't drop it. Immediately dead hearts. I probably could have kept chasing him there, but I wanted to slap the Steve. I also have to save the best for last, so I'd catch him quickly. But the David decided that, hey, I'm going to drop this pallet on your face instead. So I was like, alright, fine, David. Sure had a lot of progress on it, so I decided to stop and kick it and pick up this trap. David ends up falling for that nasty hill generator trap that we set, and we end up closing it very quickly on him. I wanted to check and see if anybody was up in the little weird pier thing on that generator. Don't think I saw anybody, but I ended up chasing him. Again, he's afraid of traps by these pallets because there's grass on it. I ended up downing him because of it. That is our first kill for the game. Now, granted, we are about to lose another generator, I believe, in just a moment, and we've only got one kill. But Trapper is very good at defending different spots on the map. And we don't have like an amazing 3-gen or anything, but the gen that they do have the most progress on is kind of isolated. We reset the hill traps, it's nice. You always want to reset any traps that are kind of dirty and end up working like that. If they work once, they'll generally work again. It's just like that Hex Totem trap that we had at the beginning of the match. It ended up working on the Claudette, and it worked again on the Steve. Here, Claudette tries to hide from us, but we end up slapping her immediately. Save the best for last. Lets us catch up to her very fast, and she ends up going down. Shabam. We're going to hook her next to the generator that has the most progress so that we can protect it in the hook. Here Steve is there, so we end up forcing him off this generator while also pressuring the hook survivor. So this is a really good spot for us to be in. And we know the other two generators don't really have a whole lot of progress. Now, like I said, if it works, just reset it. So we reset that trap, but this time we're going to add a couple more traps to the mix. We have another choke point between two trees here, and I decide to actually set a trap by the pallet. This is a less so of a thing that I'm like hoping catches survivors, and more so of a trap that wards the survivor off from the pallet and herds them into the other two hidden traps. I go over here to check and see if there's a lot of progress on this generator. I discover the reason, so I pick up the trap, and Claudette already gets hooked. If there wasn't any other reason for me to go back, Steve gives me, well, another reason to come back by stepping into the trap. And just like at the beginning of the match with David, Steve panics and runs into our other well-hidden trap. And he avoided the pallet because it actually was trapped that time. Claudette ends up taking the hit there. She wanted to use Decisive Strike on me in hopes of possibly getting Steve out of the trap in time by taking that one hit. But because he saved the best for last, we're able to attack fast enough that he can't get out of the trap. Now that trap is very cheeky. Most of the survivors that come for that unhook seem to be coming from this generator. Or in this direction in general, so I decided to set it there. I ended up stepping my own trap. I forget it was there. You do that sometimes, especially hard to see tar bottle traps on this map. Bill is being a little cutie over here, trying to be sneaky. I was a little amused by him, so I decided to let him run up to the hook. And I go ahead and give him a slap, interrupting the grab. You get a save best for last stack, he gets the unhook, I get another stack. I decided to immediately hook him instead of just committing to a chase. Now granted, I could have probably ended the game there by just going after Steve, but I kind of wanted to get a little more action going for this game. A little more trap action. So, I come on down to kick this generator, and we have Claudette immediately running for the hook, and there's that trap that I talked about being really cheeky. We get to keep our save the best for last stacks too, because of that trap. I was originally going to hook her pretty far away, but then Steve goes in for another quick save, and I decided to move her back to this hook around this generator. and I go ahead and pop it again, and I take the time to reset all these traps. This one's in a little bit of a different spot. It's actually not in a tight corner. Pick up this trap. I don't reset it again because we don't have anybody hooked right there. There's no point to it. Claudette gets saved really fast, and for some reason she decides to go immediately on this. I assume it's because, again, she wanted to decisive strike me. Most survivors with decisive strike will stay on a generator right in front of you to let you grab them instead of having to hit them. And what this will do is it'll immediately give them the prompt to trigger decisive strike. Sorry. And yeah, instead of grabbing her, we slap her twice and let her sit on the ground and think about that decision. Speaking of a really good trap, that hill trap came in, got the sleeve again. So let's see, we've had 3 different traps that worked twice this game. That was 6 of our 10 traps that we got to work. That was the hill trap, the trap over by that generator we've been protecting for so long in between the rocks, and the Hex Totem trap. Now here I was going to trap the top of the staircase and keep Bill isolated, but he ends up having a key and escaping through the hatch, which is unfortunate. Now, if you really wanted to, you could leave that hatch open, walk over and pick up Claudette and kill her, but I wanted to see if she had adrenaline, and I was kind of hoping that she would run into one of the mini traps we set. She didn't have adrenaline, so I sped up this part as well, and go ahead and hook her. But yeah, I hope this was helpful in kind of how to play the trapper and play some traps. It's going to be a little bit different for every map. There's not always going to be, maps with grass or maps with nice choke points to set. There's also maps with weaker basements and stronger basements. It all depends and changes. Again, watch some of Strava. He's an amazing trapper player, and he's got a lot of great videos on YouTube if you need some more help. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time.